Day and night, and sun and moon. At first, the world was a dark and gloomy place, even with its great open skies, and the gods were obliged to create the sun and the moon, so that life for a man would not be so gloomy and dreary. They also had to invent day and night to make his time on earth better. By day he could work, farm, fish and hunt, and by night sleep and recover his energy for the following day's work. Even though the gods devised the system of day and night for man's benefit, they set the giants to work in doing so. Night was a giantess, the daughter of Nafi of Jotunheim, and she was a beautiful creature with long, flowing black hair, shiny and dark as a raven's wing. Her first husband was a giant called Darkness, with whom she had a baby that they called Space. Her second husband was a mysterious character known simply as the Other, and there are many theories as to his identity. The two had a daughter called Earth, and shortly after, the Other vanished, leaving Night alone. Finally, Night married a third husband named Dawn, a blonde-haired figure, and together they had a fair-haired shining son, who was called Day. The gods decided to divide each turning of the earth, which took 24 hours, into 2 halves, to be equally divided into night and day. Night and day were given a chariot each, and a pair of mighty horses, which would gallop so fast that the chariot would lift off from the ground and fly through the sky. Night and day are not alone as they ride through the skies on their endless gallop. The gods created the sun and the moon to keep them company. The sun and the moon were fixed in the heavens at first, unmoving, and both could be seen together, whether it was night or day. Then, one day, a being descended from the giants called Mundilfari, which means the world-turner, had 2 children, a boy and a girl, who were so beautiful he named them Sun and Moon, boasting that they outshone everything else in creation except those 2 celestial bodies. The gods were annoyed by Mundilfari's vanity and arrogance, and punished him, as was their wont in such cases, by taking away his children and putting them to work in the heavens. The girl's son was given the task of riding and steering the mighty steeds that pulled the chariot of the sun. So that she would not be burned to death, the gods placed an indestructible shield named Svalin, or cold iron, between the chariot of the sun and the horses and their rider. So she rides the mighty horses through the heavens, happy and free in her punishment, fearing only the day the spawn of Fenrir, the great black wolf of Ragnarok, will catch up with her and swallow the sun. The boy Moon rides through the heavens just like his sister, but because his task is more complicated, since the moon must wax and wane, the gods permitted him a pair of helpers, 2 children named Bil and Yuki, who were snatched by the moon from the peak of a mountain where they had been sent by their grandfather to fetch water from a well which was sacred to the gods. By turns, the boy Bil and his sister Yuri draw a dark curtain back and forth over the moon, so changing its appearance and making it difficult to find for the brother of the black wolf that hunts the sun. This other wolf is a great grey-white beast, a true spawn of Ragnarok, and it runs frothing at the mouth, saliva dripping from its great yellow fangs, its red eyes gleaming in the darkness, hungry to find and swallow the moon as it one day must. Ragnarok is inevitable, and even the gods have to accept that one day it will come, for their lives too are bound by the tapestries woven by the Norns, the 3 weird sisters of destiny. The great fear of Ragnarok was one of the reasons Odin created men. He created men to be warriors, so that when the dreaded time arrived, there would be a huge army to help the gods against the giants and monsters. Odin created man and woman in the dawn of time when the world was still young. He was walking along the seashore with his two brothers, Vili and Ve, who were sometimes known as Heinir and Lodir, not long after they had created the world. 2 tree trunks had been washed up on the beach. As the sun began to set and the 3 brother gods drew up close to the logs, they had an idea. Vili took handfuls of golden sand and began to fill up the hollow trunk of one of the trees, which was an ash, and Ve did the same with the other, an elm. Odin then bent down and breathed the spirit of life into the dead trees. The 3 gods then stood back and watched as first a woman and then a man took form and began to emerge from the 2 pieces of driftwood.